All right.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the year that was ... and we are discussing 1997. If you are new to the program, my name is Aaron. I am the host. Hello, little one. I am with
No.
my brother Nate, my brother from another mother Archie, and
What's
I
up?
assume is his granddaughter.
Yes, Winter Rose
Hello,
is here.
little one. Hello. And
Yes.
we are discussing the year that was 1997. We are into March, and this is a special day for me, and it is a very special day in 1997 for Nate because I believe at this time I was turning 13, maybe.
Yeah, seems about right?
Because I was born on March 3rd. I was born on March 3rd, 1983, and we are going into March 3rd, 1997. I don't know nothing about no math, but I was a little boy at this time, 14.
14, yeah.
I was 14, and Nate was like 50 at this time. So that's a joke because Nate's old. But anyway, I don't want to get off the rails.
Nate
Basically,
was like
guys,
the Doc Brown to your Marty McFly.
yes. Basically, guys, what we're doing into this show is we're delving through the year that is 1997. And I'm with these guys. David Gold's driving around, doing his thing, listening. And we are discussing the second, in my opinion, the second greatest year of wrestling of all time. I'd put 1980 this. So we've gone out of a Monday Night Raw that was somewhat significant because it went back to the Manhattan Center. They've acknowledged ECW. And now we are going into March
The
3rd,
worst Monday Night Raw.
possibly one of the worst Monday Night Raws of all time. We're going into March 3rd, 1997. It's German Raw German. I don't know what else to call it.
Our announcers are Adolf and
I'm
Heinz.
picturing. I'm hearing in my head the Thursday Raw Thursday guy going German Raw German.
That's what I'm saying. Like whenever they would Thursday Raw Thursday, well, this would be German Raw German. They're in Germany for Monday Night Raw, and this is the Raw that and part of me, I think I talked about it a little bit on the last show. This is the Raw that Vince Russo said that changed Vince McMahon's mind and all this shit. And that's when they did Raw is War, and he was the guy that said this is trash or whatever. I somewhat understand what he was saying, but I also don't think that Vince Russo was the guy that changed everything because
I'm sure he was one of the voices in Vince's head that said, "Hey, this was crap. We need to go to a live show and be edgier." But I don't think it was just him.
yeah, and I also don't think it was like because we're gonna go into next week, and next week is Gangbusters.
Right.
I want you guys to know this. Next week is Gangbusters because
It
next
is.
week everything fucking changes.
What I don't understand here, Aaron, is last week was such a great Raw, Manhattan Center, ECW invading. Not this week, but the following week is a really great Raw as well. Why did we sandwich German Raw Thursday, German Raw German in between such good Raws?
I have no
You
fucking.
know,
But this thing is this show's rough.
it's hot
That's all.
shit.
It's not shit with the action of it. That's what I want to say. Like the
Okay.
action of it is really good. There's some really good matches on here, but the show is very plotting. So we're gonna open up German Raw German, March 3rd, 1997.
Hope you're
14-year-old
happy, Nate.
14-year-old Aaron sitting down, like, all right, what do we get right at the beginning of this show? It's Vince McMahon giving a brief history of the Berlin Wall.
And your average wrestling fan sitting home going, I don't care about them Russians.
Yeah. Who's got a problem with the ball?
And even back all those years, Donald Trump was sitting there going, "A wall, you say?"
Yeah.
we should do Raw in China.
Yeah. It's like, maybe we should let Hunter build that wall because he doesn't let anybody get over.
He's got a shovel and a sledgehammer already.
But we get this brief history of the Berlin Wall from Vince McMahon. And I was making jokes, and I'm not trying to discount anybody that went through any of that shit. I mean,
no, not at all.
I don't think we need to give disclaimers on this show because there's like 5 people listening. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not making light of what any of those people went through. I know some shit probably like this show is probably clipped out of order, but if you look at it in the order that this show was presented on TV, it's Vince McMahon giving us a brief history of the Berlin Wall and all the struggles that everybody went through in Germany and all this stuff that happened. And then the wall came down. And once the wall came down, guess who came out of that debris in that wall? The Honky Tonk Man.
Man, I thought it was Brockus.
Nope. The Honky Tonk Man. He's the guy that's bringing happiness and love to the German people. And the Honky Tonk Man is joining Vince McMahon for play-by-play.
Which is not good.
It's not that great. And then we get a guy, I can't remember. I didn't write down his name because I didn't even want to mispronounce it, but he's our ring announcer. And I just put, our ring announcer is German Mr. Ernst.
I like it.
Because he looks like Mr. Ernst from Hey Dude. So,
yep.
or
he's from Heil Dude.
Heil Dude, exactly. Good call.
If you guys don't know Hey Dude, he's fucking German Willie. Fucking Alf. Like, this is what this guy looks like. He looks like Mr. Ernst and Alf had a German baby. And he introduces Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Hunter Hearst Helmsley comes out and they're booing him. And then they announce that Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to face Bret Hart. And I will tell you this, there's a lot of times where I heard Bret talk about like, oh, these people were into me so much. It was crazy. And I'm like, maybe. But fucking Germany, ape shit for Bret Hart.
Bret
loved him.
When Bret used to cut those promos once he turned heel and said, the only place they boo me is the United States, but if I go to Canada or Germany or Japan, they'll cheer me. He wasn't lying. He was over in the other countries. It's just the United States fans turned on him quicker than anything when Stone Cold got at his highest.
But fucking Bret in Germany trying to get out to the fucking ring, man. They
Right?
were grabbing him. Maybe he was a fucking rock star in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
And this match ends in a disqualification because Bret Hart refuses to stop stomping Triple H, and the referee tries to stop him, and he shoves the ref down, and the referee disqualifies Bret Hart, and then the big woman that we don't know yet of her name shows up and has a square off with Bret Hart, and Bret Hart doesn't want to fight her, but he doesn't back down. He just kind of leaves because he's like, I'm not going to hit a woman.
I'm going to call my sister Diana. She'll be down here and kick your ass.
Yeah. And that's how the match ends. It's kind of a weak finish. It's kind of whatever, but they showed you how super over Bret was in Germany. Triple H didn't really lose, and they kind of put over the big woman whose name will be unveiled later on. So Triple H over Bret Hart via disqualification.
And just to put it in perspective for anybody listening that has never seen this show, it is also very poorly lit. All of this is very poorly lit.
It's like a really bad house show.
Yeah, this is like the Toronto Raw Toronto. It's a broadcast house show, is what we're seeing. And unless you guys have anything on that, we'll move on to the next segment.
Mhm.
The next segment is them saying that Steve Austin is supposed to be live in the studio in the States, the WWF headquarters studio, whatever you want to call it. And they're talking about the last time he was there, the fucking cops were involved and all this shit. They're going to try to interview Steve, and they go to Steve and he's not there. It's just a Raw banner. And they're like, "Where's Steve? Steve, where you at?" And you hear a toilet flush. So apparently Steve was dropping a deuce, and he had no time at that point to talk to Vince McMahon and the Honky Tonk Man.
It's fantastic, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
It's Vince McMahon humor right there.
But it's funny. That's funny.
Funny. I'm not saying it's not funny. But Vince is like, Steve, are you there? And then you hear, I can't do a toilet flush. But you hear a toilet flush. Steve's dropping no time right now. Crappers.
Comes out of the bathroom all angry.
Well, he didn't even go out there. Just like, well, he's detained. And Vince McMahon basically being like, "Oh, Steve Austin's detained." Like that's a great fucking word.
He tries to stay straight about it. Yeah.
Yes. And then we get a recap, and the reason we get this recap is because the main event basically of this match is the culmination of the European title tournament, and the finals are Bulldog and Owen, and they give us a recap of the Royal Rumble situation between Bulldog and Owen. And it's one of my favorite heel things ever, because he didn't say it at the time when he eliminated Davey, but when they're like interviewing him the next week, like the next Monday, they ask Owen, "Why did you eliminate Davey?" And he's like, "I didn't eliminate Davey. He was stupid. He just fell out of the ring." And Davey's standing like right next to me. He's stupid. He just fell out of the ring. It's one of my favorite things.
A classic Owen Hart response.
Yes. So the next match we get is an Intercontinental title match with the Intercontinental Champion Rocky Maivia defending against Big Van Vader. As these guys are coming out, they show I don't want to say big German woman, but they show a German woman in the crowd, and the Honky Tonk Man is super happy about her. And basically, through this entire show, the Honky Tonk Man's gimmick is he's super horny for German women. Like, I want me a 4-line or whatever. McMahon, I need to get me a big German woman. Like all the big German women they show, Honky Tonk Man's like, I want to tap that. That's basically his gimmick through this whole show.
And Vince is like, "Don't worry, one day we're going to employ Nicole Bass. She's all yours, Honky."
Yes. She's gonna fuck you probably, Honky Tonk Man. She's pegged you for this situation. So Vader comes out and he's with Paul Bearer, which I thought was kind of crazy, because usually, like, when you watch like these WWF house shows back in the day, they didn't like bring the managers along. You know what I mean? But they brought Bearer along.
But no, I think. But
I'm thinking he was a producer.
Well, that too. But what I will say is, and just going back through old results and stuff, he was one of the ones that was a lot of times on the road, because he usually came out with Taker when he was with Taker. Now, and I know this is like 6 or 7 months after he wasn't with Taker anymore, but I'm just saying, like, Paul Bearer, I think, was one of the few managers that was usually on the road. I think more because him and the Undertaker was a gimmick together. If you think about it,
Right.
but and then it, like you said, he's probably a producer and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think he was probably an agent at this time. So this match is going on, and it is what it is. I did notice during the match, Bear's out there, and he's kind of like minding his own business. He's not doing a lot. But there's these two fat German kids, like these. They got like Dutch boy haircuts, and they're out there, and they're just giving fucking Paul Bearer the business. Just giving him the fucking business. Just like, fuck you.
Kind of have to wonder if some of these people were plants in the audience. Fuck you, Hair Bear.
Fuck you, Hair Bear. Just giving him the fucking business. And Bear, like, just he latches onto him, and he looks like he's just having fun. He's like, I'm gonna fuck with these kids, and he's giving it back to him, and these two little fucking Dutch boy fucking German kids, and Paul Bearer in 1997 just had this fucking thing. Because he keeps going back to him, like he's like, shut up, like even when they're not saying anything, he's like, shut up. But anyway, that's the other reason that I think this was just basically a glorified television house show.
Right.
Because managers don't typically work the crowd.
Well, I mean, we got Honky Tonk Man on commentary. We, like you said, we got managers working the crowd. Honky Tonk Man's talking out of the way about German women. You know what I mean? This was meant to be on MSG at like
yeah, I was gonna say nobody gives a fuck about this show.
Right.
Vince McMahon.
And that's the other thing too. Like we talked about, it was bad, and it was. But as I'm reading it and as I watched it, I was like, this isn't as bad as
it's bad, but it's comically good when you look at all the stupidness that goes on.
Yeah. But then it looks like Vader's going to actually win the match, but then Mankind gets involved and causes the DQ. So Rocky Maivia retains his Intercontinental Championship by DQ, and this kind of goes along with the storyline that they were going with Vader and Mankind. That they're going into WrestleMania and they're going to be fighting for the tag team championships against Owen and Bulldog, but there's heat between them.
They still hate each other, right?
So you guys see anything on that?
I think originally the plan was for them to face each other, wasn't
it? Mick says that he went to Vince and said that he wanted to fight Vader, and WrestleMania 13 is the most. It's one of my favorite WrestleManias, but it's the most convoluted change.
So much got changed, yeah.
Yeah, like nothing that they thought was going to be on the show was on. Like Ahmed and Farouk were just supposed to have a single street fight.
Steve Austin was supposed to wrestle the British Bulldog originally.
Yeah, right? and all this shit just changed. Sean was supposed to fight Brett. You know what I mean? Like everything.
Yeah. And actually, they were kicking around in creative meetings. Sean and Brett at WrestleMania. One of the things that was brought up was that they were going to give. Obviously, this was for Brett. It was going to be for Brett to get his win back.
Right. But
they were pitching around stipulations, and the two that were pitched around the most were some kind of a loser leaves or something like that.
Right.
And another one that they seriously were considering was making it a hair match.
Damn.
So, I mean, think about all the history that has changed because
Michaels now, but so it wouldn't have been that bad. My only other statement about this match we just talked about is I'm glad that Vader did not let Rocky Maivia go over him cleanly and it ended up being a DQ, because Lord knows Rocky Maivia never made a name for himself in this business.
Who'd that guy ever beat?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So after that, we get a recap of last week's Lawler ECW situation, and then Lawler on the phone talking about ECW and how it's just extremely crappy wrestling and this, that, and the other thing, and basically says that he'll challenge ECW to come back next week. Vince doesn't want it, and Lawler's like, bring him on. So apparently, next week or whenever we record again, because we seem to be doing this show bi-weekly, which is fine. Like everybody on here's bi. Cool.
Hey,
We're
hey.
down with being bi. We're cool. Joking. But the next week that we record this show, it's going to be another ECW WWF situation. So Lawler challenges Paulie to show up. We'll find out if ECW does.
Always found it weird that Jerry Lawler called long distance to Germany to travel to challenge Paul Heyman. You know what I mean? Long distance charges applied. He's like, I need to speak to Vince McMahon.
They denied his 1-800 collect call.
Right.
It's like it's a goddamn sponsor.
He bought a calling card.
So after the Jerry Lawler 1-800 collect call,
Vince is like, you should have used 10-10-220.
After that, we get a match between the Sultan and Flash Funk. So that happened. The biggest
versus Too Cold.
The biggest thing coming out of this match is, and it wasn't a bad match. I'm not knocking the guys. I mean, it's fucking Rikishi for a big motherfucker. That dude could work. You know what I mean? Like, I've never watched a Rikishi match.
He's top 10. He's top 10 big men in the history.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not even saying like, oh, Rikishi. That's just what he's best known as. You know, but he had a that or whatever. So, like Fatu, Rikishi, Sultan, whatever you call it, fucking talent, badass sumbitch in the ring. And Flash Funk, we've all talked about Too Cold Scorpio being fucking fantastic. These guys actually have a pretty goddamn good match. But nothing going on in this match is about their match.
Right.
During the match, we get the first commercial for what we were talking about earlier that's coming up next week. We get the first commercial for Raw is War. So on March 3rd, 1997, none of us had a fucking clue what Raw is War was. So we get the first glimpse of the WWF saying, watch next week. You're not going to believe what you see. And like I said, guys, we're in 1997, and we're going into the age group of the guys that's on the show right now.
At
that
16,
changed everything.
At what was it? This was what year? This was 97.
97.
At 16, you were 14. Nate was probably 18. We were blown away by the. Oh God! Oh my God! They're going. Oh, war! Raw's War. When I rewatch it back now, though, when it first happened, I'm like, they changed the ring mats. That's all I'm doing. You know what I mean? They went to 2 hours.
There's a little more.
You know what I mean, though. You know what I mean, though. That's all. Like, okay, from 8 to 9, it was Raw's on TV, and then from 9 to 10, it was like, oh, Raw's War is on. Okay.
Anybody that is in their, I'd say 20s or 30s, their 20s, early 30s, whatever. I'm gonna say. You take for granted what you have,
right?
As far as production value and Titantrons and all that kind of stuff now, because before that, and I'm sure some of these younger guys have seen some of the older stuff, but before that Raw is War, we'll talk about it. We'll really get into it next week. But I promise you this: none of us had ever seen anything like that before. And that was crazy shit to see that big Titantron and the pyro and all the stuff that was going on there. It was just you can't aptly describe it to somebody that didn't live through it, how different it was.
And Nate, we haven't gotten there on your show yet, have we?
No, we're a couple months behind on Nate. We're a couple months behind you on Nate.
And that's why I'm looking forward to getting into it on Nate's show, because we can read the whether it's true or not, the behind the scene. I'm sure there's fucking production notes and this, that, and the other thing going into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, during this Sultan Flash Funk match, there's a lot of shit that happens, but it doesn't happen in the match. It's Paulie calling. So we're supposed to believe that Paul Heyman
Had long distance.
had long distance.
I
or
couldn't
he's
base it on
paid-
His parents had long distance.
Yeah, yeah.
like Paulie has paid the money to call Germany and say that he is accepting the challenge of Jerry Lawler. So Paul Heyman will be on Monday Night Raw next week.
Does make for a good segment. I will say that much.
A cliffhanger, if you will.
Right.
So out of that match, the ending of that match is Too Cold Scorpio, Flash Funk misses a moonsault, and the Sultan ends up getting him into a camel clutch, and the Sultan wins via submission, basically. So that's the end of that. Unless you guys have anything else on that, we'll move on to the next thing.
Go for it.
The next thing is Steve Austin. They're replaying, like, Steve Austin still nowhere to be found on camera with being back in the States. So they're going to replay Steve Austin busting up the studios in '96. Like, this is what happened the last time. They're talking about the crew guy that was there. He was working for the WWF for a little bit, but he had to quit. Like, he quit because he had fucking PSTD or whatever about Steve Austin beating him up and this, that, and the other thing. And then we get a Psycho Sid backstage interview, which is nonsensical. I tried to write it down, and
God bless you.
You tried to write down a
I was like, I'm not doing
Yeah.
this. And then we go into
Wait,
another.
Let me guess. See, I'm the master and the ruler of the world. Somebody say softball. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
What was I saying? What was it? Yeah, I'm the master and ruler of the world. Bret Hart, you have to bring that softball? Yeah, I'm in. Hold on. Let me just cut this promo.
he said some shit, and none of it made any sense, but it was still Sid, so it was
Right.
intense and fun.
It looked cool.
It was cool because it's
Right.
Sid. So Sid cuts his nonsensical promo, and then we go into another recap of Owen and Bulldog's miscommunication. And then we get something that's even more hard to listen to than a Sid promo. It is an Ahmed Johnson promo.
Oh, yeah.
Mid-ring, and it's Ahmed Johnson cutting a promo, which nobody speaking the language that Ahmed Johnson can understand speaking it, and then German Mr. Ernst trying to...
They understood each other, actually.
Yeah.
So Ahmed's cutting his promo in English, quote unquote, and German Mr. Ernst is trying to speak to the German people what Ahmed is saying. So he's translating Ahmed Johnson English into German.
I pity him. So bad.
Like the worst game. It's like
the worst.
It's like
had to watch this.
It's like the worst game of telephone ever.
Right?
Yes. It was just really hard to watch. So if you guys don't have anything else about the Ahmed Johnson German promo,
Mm-mm.
no?
No, I'm good.
So then we move into Mankind. Mick Foley actually cutting a promo in
That makes
German.
sense. Right. That makes sense.
Like he's doing a promo in German in the Mankind voice. And it was cool as shit. I was like, I have no fucking idea what he just said, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. It fits his character perfectly because, like,
Yes.
why wouldn't mankind know how to speak German?
Yeah. Like, that's fucking weird as shit. And it was awesome. So he's basically cutting a promo on Sid because the semi-main event of this show is WWF champion Sid Vicious defending against Mankind. It's a good brawl, and at the end of it, Psycho Sid ends up beating Mankind with a power bomb. It just basically is Sid Vicious versus Cactus Jack match. And it's not terrible to watch. It was fun. So you guys got anything on that?
No, sir.
I think Sid and Mankind put up a pretty good fight against each other. They worked well with one another, and it might have been one of the highlight matches of the show because the rest was basically just incoherent.
It wasn't the highlight. The next thing is the next match is the highlight.
I just want to say something for the record.
Mm-hmm.
People shit on Sid Vicious too much,
I agree.
and
They
here's why I say that. Because his promos were a little discombobulated, but that's fine. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But your dirt sheet elitists will shit on his promos, but he was Psycho, so that's the point. That Vince McMahon saw that when he got the guy. That's why he made him Psycho. It's like this guy babbles incoherently. He's a psycho. So
nobody knew better than Vince McMahon what to do with fucking Sid Udy.
True.
And Nate, you can tell you know I hate this fucking guy. Nobody knew better than Vince McMahon what to do with Jim Hellwig.
Right.
Same fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. But I was saying, what I was kind of saying about like he gets shit on too much is in the ring with the right opponent. Sid wasn't even bad in the ring, for his size. He's not supposed to be doing hurricane ranas and shit anyway.
And it wasn't even like it was Sid. It didn't even need to be like some technical master because I like Sting. You know what I mean? I'm a Sting fan, but Sting's not a technical master. I mean, none of us can say we hate Sting, or how do I want to say it? Like none of us can say, oh, if we say that Sting wasn't like the greatest wrestler in the world, because he wasn't. But Sting was a dynamic talent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I can watch Sting and Sid have a match, and I enjoy it.
Yep.
Because they know how to work with each other, and Sid or whoever was working with him knew how to use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else on that?
Nope.
All right. So, we'll finish up German, Raw German, and then can we take a break after that?
Sure.
Okay. I don't want to go outside and smoke a cigarette. So, the next thing we get after that is Steve Austin is finally, he's done pooping. He's done having a beer break, doing whatever he's doing, and he's in the studio. And this is the first announcement that Steve Austin and Bret Hart are going to be wrestling at WrestleMania 13, and it's going to be a submission match. And basically, Steve's talking shit about Bret Hart and is saying that he might not know a lot of submission moves, but he does know how to kick the shit out of somebody and make him give up. And that's basically what I took from the promo is what Steve was saying was that I might not be able to get you in a sharpshooter, but I might be able to just stomp you into oblivion and have you give up.
And I think they announced he's talking about it being a submission match, but I think they announced it last week that it was going to be a submission match.
Right.
I believe, or maybe on the Superstars beforehand. The reason I say that is because one of my favorite Steve Austin stories is he talks about how he found out he was going to be in a submission match with Bret Hart by watching TV. Like nobody even told him that he was going to be in a submission match.
So that's basically the Steve promo. Is the main, like I said, we're not watching Superstars on this thing because I ain't delving that deep into fucking YouTube. But Steve's basically saying that we got the submission match, and if he doesn't have a hold, he'll still beat the shit out of Brett and make him say I quit.
I always questioned whether they wanted us to forget that he used the $1 Million Dream when he first came into the WWE here, because he didn't know how to use that. And if I recall, Stunning Steve Austin used to use a half grab sometimes and a full Boston grab. So it's not like Steve Austin was dumb to submission wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But they were trying to come off here like, I don't know any submission moves, but I'll just pound you into the ground. Okay, well, we know what you know.
But it's the WWF, and they have their narrative, and you're just going to go with it.
Right.
So we get like I said, we got that Steve Austin promo about WrestleMania 13, and then we go into a match that I'm not going to talk too much about it because I've talked about it a little bit before. I don't know if I've talked about it on this show, but I'll talk about it. I'll talk to anybody that will listen to me about it. This is one of my favorite matches of all time, and it's Owen Hart versus the British Bulldog in the finals of the European Championship. And one of my notes is I always thought that the European Championship is honestly one of the coolest looking fucking belts ever.
At that time, yes, I agree.
Like I still feel it this way. I think the European title was a cool looking fucking belt.
No, it was. It was.
And I think it should have stuck around more than what it did. But
or at least when they reactivated another belt with it after a while, they should have brought it back. I agree.
But this fucking match is fantastic. And we never really got like an Owen Bulldog feud.
Right.
So this is kind of like the closest thing you could get to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this is the closest we got to like an Owen Bulldog just feud. And I think honestly, an Owen Bulldog feud would have been cool as shit. And then part of me is also like, I like the fact that these guys are kind of annoyed by each other, but they're still cool with each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Owen and Bulldog are like with their characters, they're almost more brothers than Brett and Owen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like kind of like, I'm not saying me and Nate have this type of thing, but like Nate knows me better than anybody else, and he knows I'm this little fucking like I'll nip at people's fucking heels and like I'll explain it this way, like Nate, if it was us, you'd be the Bulldog, I'd be Owen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this little pesky motherfucker.
Well, but that's the way they were trying to come off, though, is that Bulldog and Owen loved each other and they respected each other, but their personalities clashed. And Bulldog might have taken Owen's head off because of it, or vice versa. But had someone else come along, a Steve Austin, an Ahmed Johnson, who would have tried to go after Owen, Bulldog would have still been there to have his back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's my brother. I can say what I want about him. You can't say what you want about him in front of me.
And
you know,
Arch explained it greatly. That was like the dynamic of that fucking team.
Right. And I think they knew they couldn't do that with Brett and Owen. I think they realized they got away with it more with Owen and Bulldog, because obviously Brett and Owen were always going to be at each other's throats no matter what.
And at the end of this match, which it's fucking how many ever years ago, Bulldog ends up winning, obviously, because it's the European title. Right. But at the end of it, Owen is just like, yeah, like at first he looks like he's gonna hit him, but then he's just like, all right, you got
right.
You beat me.
Right.
You beat me. We're still the tag team champions.
And I've still got 2 slammies.
I still have 2 slammies.
Right.
You know what I mean? I still have my 2 slammies. You got the belt. We're cool now. We'll hold it up together.
Right.
But
I love that aspect of the
I guess
feud.
technically by this point he doesn't have his 2 slammies. He doesn't have 2 slammies to WrestleMania. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I always loved that aspect of the feud is that whenever they would win a match, Owen would grab his tag title and the European title, and Bulldog would be looking around like, "Where's my belt? Come on, man, just give me my belt."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's why I beat you. Give me my belt.
But I love these guys together, whether they're teaming,
Oh yeah,
whether they're wrestling each other. This match is a fucking classic. And like I said, I didn't take a lot of notes on it because if I would have taken notes on it, it would have been this would be like a fucking.
oh we could cover this whole match for one full episode. You don't have. I agree.
So that is how German ends with Davey as the European champion, and I will make a statement before we take a break, and it doesn't need to be elaborated on. You guys can either just say yay or nay. Do you? Because I'll say yay. Do you guys think that Davey should have had a run, at least for maybe 4 or 6 months as WWF champion?
Yay.
Yes, and sometime
Without a doubt.
between when he came back at SummerSlam of '94 and early '96. Yes,
I agree.
I think it's
I agree.
important. Well, thank you guys. I think
Why
Davey should have been champ at some point.
why he couldn't hold? I mean, you look at all the dumb transitional champions that we had while Davey Boy was there. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not, and I don't mean look, Brett Austin holding the titles, Shawn, Undertaker, but in between there was a 1 month Sid reign. There was, you know what I mean? There were reigns that didn't need to be out there, but it was because Shawn got injured or something got changed. Why Bulldog couldn't be a champion for 4 to 6 months, like Aaron just said, or even for an entire calendar year? He was there every week. He put on a great match every week, and he was respected by everybody. Same goes with Owen, but Bulldog definitely deserved at least one run.
right. I agree.
All right. You guys ready for a break?
Okay.
Whenever you are, sir.
Like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you guys.
That would be
You're good.
back.
Ugh.
Welcome back.
Thanks. This thing hasn't been a train wreck, right?
Not at all.
Greg has it. All right.
Not one bit. Not one bit.
We'll have some maestro here in a minute. He says,
Aaron, I need hair like this.
"Hair like what?
The blonde guy, the guy with the big blonde pompadour.
Who is that?"
Some enhancement talent going to be on Dark this week.
That's ridiculous. Give me
They
one.
fire Cody Rhodes and they hire that guy.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna put on sleep pants so I don't have the urge to leave the house.
Okay. It's freezing outside.
It's supposed to be super windy here tomorrow and warm up to almost 60. And then Thursday is supposed to start with torrential flooding rain. And by the end of the day, it's going to be snowing.
our weather isn't that different then. Here's what you ready for the crack up? Today is Tuesday, right? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday this past week that just happened were 60 degrees each day. So nice, my kids took my granddaughter to the park to play.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday and Sunday was below zero, and it even snowed on Saturday. We had to have the baby. We took the baby to the mall and to go to the theme park and whatever, but it was freezing, so we had to bundle her up.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was ice cold. Today's ice cold. Tomorrow, Thursday and Friday are going to be sunny with 60 degrees. Saturday raining, Sunday snow.
Yeah, I know.
What the hell is going on?
And next week, everybody's got the flu.
But they think it's COVID. Just
Yeah.
New Jersey ain't much different than Ohio,
No, dude, I don't know what the hell happened here.
except the fucking accent. And
Right.
let me ask you this, Arch. Like, if somebody, if you accidentally walk into somebody, do you go, "Oh"?
I do because I watch the videos. Yes, I do because I watch a lot of videos and I've seen people do it. But here it's usually, "Oh, excuse me." So
Yeah, in Ohio, it's
I know.
And then people are like, "Sorry," and you're like, "No, you're good.
No, you're good.
You're
Right.
good.
No, you're good."
If somebody says you're good,
I watch a guy who's a comedian named Charlie Brennan, and he does all of the Midwestern, like, "Oh, tell your folks it says hi. Watch out for deer." You know, and it's my favorite thing about it. It's like I'm like, if I ever had to talk like something, that's the way I want to talk. It's pleasant.
I can teach you so many fucking Midwestern expressions.
As opposed to Jersey, where everything usually ends in "fuck."
It does here too. You might go, "Oh, fuck, oh,"
Right.
but "oh" is involved in anything. Even if nobody is around. Like, you make a grilled cheese sandwich and you drop it, you go, "Oh." Nobody's there. You're just like, "Oh."
It's like a universal word, exactly.
Oh. It's fun times.
Nate, Aaron wants to know if his show is a train wreck.
No.
No.
Told you.
No.
It's listenable.
They're reliving the extremes that are much larger train wrecks than this.
Dude, what's up with that guy making another ECW another show and you promoting it?
Well, his show is not what our show is. In that we're doing
A good show.
okay, so Dave is a historian.
Right.
He's actually a preeminent Midwest wrestling historian.
Okay.
Like for Dick the Bruiser's territory and stuff. His show is more like we do week to week. This is the episode, we review it.
Right.
His show is not an episode review. It's like his first show he did the month of August '94 because that was the birth of Extreme.
Right.
And he goes like I do with Slice of Time. He goes into the dirt sheets and reads stuff.
Right.
So then the next show might just be a show about Sabu.
Okay.
Or so he's not doing what we do.
I saw the way you promoted it, and then it said episode 1 of the Birth of Extreme. Like, what the fuck, man? He's stealing their idea.
And his show is. I like Dave. Don't get me wrong. I do. I really do like him. He's like.
I know you talked highly about him.
He's a smart guy as far as talking wrestling goes, but his shows are so dry. They are so dry. Like yeah, but
like wheat toast from a toaster.
Yeah,
with no jelly on it.
Yeah, his shows are very dry, but that's all right. It is what it is, and he has a following, and that's what. And you know what else? On his first episode of his show, of this show that he's doing now, the ECW show, he said in the first 5 minutes, this show is not a week by week episode review show of ECW. And then he explained what it was going to be. And he said on his show, if you want to listen to week by week episode reviews of the show in an entertaining fashion, listen to Reliving the Extreme. So, he gave me a plug and put us over. So what more could I do?
Look, as long as he put you guys over first, that's fine.
I'm not going to put him over vocally on the show while I'm recording with Chad, just because Chad will shit on him and I'll have to edit it out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Aaron knows what I mean.
Yeah, I'll probably shit on him too.
Yeah,
but
and then none of it would make the air. So
right.
like that, like I said, Nate, you need to record everything. I want to hear just an uncensored, fucking not for the show. Me, you, and Chad fucking talking on the bus. It would be so fun.
Or as Cornette says, on the bus.
On the bus.
All right, you ready? All right, let me write this time down really quick. And
all right, so Raw German is done, and
Alviederzane, German Raw German.
Alviederzane, or whatever you said.
We now move into Japan. We now move into Japan, WCW Japan.
No. We're moving to March 3rd, 1997, Nitro. So if you lived your life like we did back in the 90s, or as like I did, we watch Raw and we take Nitro. So now we're going to go ahead and, because that was how do I say this? Nate and I didn't grow up in a poor home, but we grew up in this is the most 90s thing economically I can say, because I don't think you can say it now. Nate and I grew up in a lower middle class household.
Okay, same here.
Now you're just poor or you're rich. You know what I mean?
Well,
like you're poor or you're rich. Like all of us, we're probably poor. If you
by today's standards, right. By today's standards, right.
You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but if you look at the spectrum of income, we're poor, everybody else is rich. In 97, you could be lower mid class, lower. You know how I said it.
Lower middle class.
Lower middle class. Like you might not have a fucking. You might not have 3 cars, but you got a VCR that you can record 2 shows on. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, we had that fucking VCR.
So did I.
Raw's over now, and I'm gonna pump the fucking. I'm gonna push the fucking VHS tape in, and we're gonna
rewind.
We're gonna watch. We're gonna rewind. Hopefully, the tape doesn't snap.
Right.
And we're gonna watch WCW Nitro from March 3rd.
Aaron,
1997. Yes.
I have a question for you. Remember how I'm sure we all bought blank tapes to record Raw or Smack or Nitro?
Yeah.
but then we'd get like a couple of good episodes, so we wouldn't want to reuse the same tape and double over what we already had. Did you ever learn the secret that if you put a piece of paper and tape over like a regular VHS tape,
Oh, you're
you could
goddamn
tape over
right.
it? It was like the best thing in the world.
You put fucking toilet tissue in there.
Yeah, a little
Gosh,
they were good. You were the nuts. It was like,
Or when you moved up in the world and you got 2 VCRs. So then when you went to Video Connection and rented the King of the Ring or something,
Right,
then you
right.
taped it, you stole it from them,
Right,
you taped it so
right.
you didn't have to
You
rent it
dumped
again.
Yep.
I have a stack of my old VHSs on this thing right here. That's what made me think of it, because I've got King of the Ring 93 and Rumble 94, and I probably stole those from or rented them from the video store.
Like you're looking at the shelf and you're like, you know what? I never in my entire life need to watch Harry and the Hendersons again.
Right.
So I'm gonna put this little small piece of fucking toilet tissue in my mouth.
Get it wet and put a piece of tape over it.
And then put some Scotch tape over it.
Yep.
And then Harry and the Hendersons becomes Nitro from March 3rd, 1997.
And not to drag things out too long, but one of my favorite recent memes that I saw, it shows a bunch of VHS tapes, and it says this was our WWE network,
right,
and our Pornhub.
Exactly.
Could be porn, could be wrestling.
3 months ago.
Could be Billy's graduation. You don't know.
3 months ago, I'm at a buddy of mine's house to pick him up. We're going to watch some kind of football game or something at a bar, and his wife chucks a VHS tape into my lap. And on the label, it reads WWE, WCW, big events. I'm like, hey, that's my handwriting. She's like, yes, it is, Mr. Mitchell. I'm like, okay, so what's on here? Raw, Nitro, WrestleMania? She's like, well, the first 20 minutes is Monday Night Raw. I'm like, oh, God. She's like, yeah. I'm like, there's porn on here, isn't it? She's like, yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
I'm like, you don't have a VCR in the house still, do you? The children do in their room. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. She's like, the kids wanted to watch wrestling. They put this on. And thank God your buddy walked in the room and he knew exactly when wrestling ended. He hit the stop button and threw the tape. I'm like, can you take this back and destroy it? She's like, no, I want you to take it home with you and frame it. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing with it.
It's a keepsake.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So, like you said, this is our WWE network. This is our one. We had both. So go ahead, Aaron. Listen to WCW Monday Nitro.
All right. WCW Monday Nitro 3/3/1997. Raw was in Germany. These guys were in the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. All right.
So
it's Georgia Nitro, Georgia.
Georgia Nitro, Georgia. So the NWO, they show up in their Hummer limo, which their Hummer limo is stupid. And it's not because they're in a Hummer limo, and I understand what they're doing because they have this Hummer limo driving around. Okay. And it's basically a driving billboard. Does that make sense?
Right.
Well, if they're trying to promote their show, that's a good idea. You drive around, you got this fucking elaborate car. The NWO's in it, but it just says like they're driving around in a car that says WCW Nitro.
Right. Right.
Like, why is NWO why are they arriving in this?
Right. Shouldn't the Horseman be in that car?
Yeah. But anyway, they show up in that Hummer limo, and Shivani and Zabisco are talking about how this limo shows up and the NWO gets out of it, and it's like Hogan and Nash and Hall, just the entire NWO. they all plow out of it, and then another limo pulls up behind, and they're like, "Who's in that limo?" And it's Harvey Schiller. So Harvey Schiller's here now.
Dr. Harvey Schiller.
Dr. Harvey. Yeah, no.
Never knew what he was a doctor of, but he was Dr. Harvey Schiller.
The Doctor of Desire.
I'm pretty sure it's thugonomics.
Thugonomics, right? Desire, thugonomics.
Do you know what my favorite Harvey Schiller thing is?
What?
He's on the rise and fall. Actually, Harvey Schiller, honestly, is a smart dude. Okay? Like I've listened to like interviews with him and read shit about him and everything. He's a smart dude. Okay? But he's on the WCW Rise and Fall DVD. And he's like, we were in WCW. He's like, we were trying to market something, and we wanted to have the Spam Man. And he's talking about the Spam Man. And this is what made him realize, like, I don't know about this. He's like, we wanted to have the Spam Man, and he was gonna market WCW with spam, and the spam people were like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
And he was like, wait a minute, we're too lowbrow for spam. And I just thought it was funny.
Who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the one in the ads? Prince Iakea? No sense.
Anyway, I like listening to Harvey Schiller talk about like the not so much the wrestling side of it, but the executive side of it.
Right.
Like I think that dude was really smart. But anyway, NWO shows up in the WCW Hummer, which is, like I said, stupid. Then Harvey Schiller shows up, and Shivani's talking about those guys, and Nitro rolls into their first match, which is actually something that I will give sometimes Nitro over Raw. They would open with, instead of opening with like a promo, they'd open with a match. You know what I mean? So like, I thought that was cooler on WCW, that it wasn't like, oh, here's this guy for a promo. It's like, no, welcome to Nitro, boom, match. You know
right.
What I mean?
I still like that in today's wrestling. I'd rather them go boom right into a match that I know is coming up, rather than let's do 20 minutes of Triple H talking in the
20
ring.
minute fucking soliloquy, you know?
You know?
But the match they opened with sucked. And it's Conan and Hugh Morris versus Jeff Jarrett and Steve McMichael. And I invoked the rule that I made, the Jarrett Mongo rule. If they're teaming, I'm not going to watch it because I know what's going to fucking happen. And I fast forwarded to the end, and it was what I knew it would be. Fucking Jarrett screwing over Mongo, and Hugh Morris and Conan win. And the post match is the Horsemen in the ring having more back and forth shit. So it's the week in, week out, goddamn.
And it's not over. You're at the beginning. This is just the beginning of this misery that is Jeff Jarrett and Mongo as Horsemen.
So this shit is fucking tedious. So, like I said, it's more of the Horsemen all just bitching at each other because of Mongo and Jarrett, which why wouldn't, like if it was me, like if it was the three of us and there's these two guys that are just at each other's throats. Like if this, the We Can't Wrestle podcast, okay? All three of us get along, and there's these two guys that are just fucking up our show every week. Just fucking it up. All three of us would be like,
bye.
Look here, Majewski and Gold. Get out of here.
Fuck out of here. We don't have time for you anymore. I don't care if your fucking legs work. Get the fuck out. But anyway.
See, that was the stupidity of the story, though. Flair loved Jarrett and thought he was the next big thing, and everybody loved him. Look, Mongo had more of a reason to be a Horseman than Jarrett did. But then whenever the two of them would, like you said, Jarrett or Mongo would screw the other one over, when they got to promo time, they would go, and Chris Benoit isn't even here because he's obsessed with women. One of them not being there have to do with you two having the worst match on the card and screwing each other over again. You know, they were just placing blame.
Exactly.
So the whole thing sucked.
I agree.
So unless you guys have anything else, that boring ass shit, we're gonna roll into some more boring ass shit. It is Diamond Dallas Page versus Rick Fuller.
Ooh.
And it's a super basic match. DDP ends up winning with the Diamond Cutter, and he's talking about the NWO post-match and kind of talking about Randy Savage a little bit, about how now Savage, previously we had talked about on the pay-per-view that Randy Savage went NWO, and that's the gist of that. And it's just basically Savage is saying that Randy Savage turned his back on WCW and went NWO, and he doesn't agree with it.
Right.
This I've talked about DDP negatively a lot. Like I don't think Dallas Page is a shitty dude or anything like that. When I talk negatively about DDP, it's more about how when I watch him wrestle or his career or whatever, I don't enjoy it. But this DDP Randy Savage shit that we're getting into is the most entertaining that DDP ever was.
Well, it was a really good feud. It was really well put together. So, I mean, I'm a DDP fan. Not a huge fan, but I mean, I enjoyed his body of work. So I could say that, you know, they both really did a great job in putting each other over in the feud.
Nate, you got anything on DDP sprinkling the dust for his feud with Randy Savage that we're getting ready to go into?
The Randy Savage feud is the best thing in DDP's career.
Yeah.
I mean, other than, I mean, I respect the guy for what he does now.
Now Kimberly, I'll give him that.
No, I mean, I respect him for what he does now, helping people improve their lives and helping get guys cleaned up. And, you know, I mean, I respect that. But as far as his wrestling career goes, the Randy Savage feud was the best thing he ever did.
Come on now. The Stalker feud with The Undertaker was awesome. Said nobody ever.
Make me famous.
So like I said, we're sprinkling the seeds for the DDP Randy Savage feud. The next match is Ray Mendoza Jr. They're still putting Viano 4 out there without a mask. Versus Juventud Guerrera. And it is a decent match. Uvi ends up winning with the 450 splash. And I know we were talking about Chad earlier. We were talking about him off show. But he brought something up one day when I was talking to him about Uvi that I never noticed until Chad, who is an obvious worker, and none of us are. Uvi never hit the goddamn 450. Like Chad told me, he was like, I'd never take a 450 for Juventud Guerrera. Ever. Like, he's like, if I was working with that guy, like not saying he worked with him, but he's like, if Ubi told me, then I'm going to hit you with the 450. He was like, I've never seen you hit that properly on somebody. Ever.
Right. And he's not lying.
And talked about Uvi being a sloppy worker and shit. And I watched, I'm like, he's right. Like, every time he hits that fucking 450, it's never like right on somebody's chest. He's either like slamming his knees into somebody's fucking face or elbows. Like,
right.
Uvi's super sloppy.
And what I never understood about him is he would always pull his opponent into the ring, into the corner closer to go for it. when if he would have let them be a little further in the ring, he might have been able to land it perfectly. He would let them be too close to the turnbuckle and things that he thought was going to hurt himself. So he would, which would end up with his knees in somebody's face. It was never a 450 splash. It was a 450 knee drop.
So this match, it was like I said, it was a decent match going into it. Uvi ends up hitting the 450. Like I said, he hits it improperly, and Uvi's the winner. I don't think there's a lot to say about the Ray Mendoza Uvi match. Correct?
No.
All right. So the next thing we get is Shivani. I don't even remember what Shivani was trying to talk about, but Kevin Sullivan, Jimmy Hart, and Kevin Sullivan's boo, Jackie, come out and interrupt the broadcast. They cut a promo about how they're the last people standing out of the match we saw with Benoit. The strap match. Basically, they're talking about how they're the last people standing out of that strap match with Benoit and Woman versus Jackie and Sullivan. And I'm not even making a joke about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're talking like
we're in the moment.
In the moment. So they cut this promo, and basically they're talking about how they're the stronger fucking couple, and they're too legit to quit.
Oh God, yes.
So I think it's super funny that Kevin Sullivan's now hooked up with this black chick, and it's like 4 years later that he's learned what too legit to quit means.
He's like Kip on Napoleon Dynamite.
But see, it's Jackie says it, and then you get these two overly white people of Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan go, "Yeah, we're too legit to quit, baby." And you go, "Jesus Christ, stop it! You're ruining it."
Like, I'm waiting for Kevin Sullivan to be like, in 1998, I'm going to be on a fantastic voyage to the World Championship. I ain't humping around.
Then that's my prerogative.
It's right. My prerogative.
This is how we do it, baby.
No diggity, no doubt.
The promoter's taking all my money. I don't have no loot. But anyway, talking about loot, going out of this Kevin Sullivan, Jackie, Jimmy Hart promo, we go into a commercial, and I think I asked Nate this once, and I don't know if I asked Archie this. Okay. Archie, it's 1997, okay? Mm-hmm. And you see Ted DiBiase and Six on your television, and they are wanting to sell you an NWO denim jacket. Mm-hmm. An NWO airbrushed denim jacket. What would be the highest price in 1997 right, that you would be willing to pay for an NWO airbrushed denim jacket?
16 years old. I guess $49.99.
$49.99?
Yeah.
That's your highest price.
I'm all in. Right. I'm all in at $49.99.
$49.99?
Right.
In 1997, Ted DiBiase and Sean Waltman were asking $80 for this low-priced, airbrushed NWO denim jacket.
Here's something, though, that you could look at. When we used to see the fans in the arena, no one was ever wearing that denim jacket, so that means it didn't sell very well.
That's what I'm saying. $80 fucking goddamn thing. So after the $80 denim NWO jacket, we get Dean Malenko once again versus Mike Enos. I feel like we've reviewed this match before.
I think this is the second time.
Yes, which I'm not mad about.
No.
The match is Mike Enos versus Nate's clicking away at something. What are you clicking away at?
Don't worry about it. Just keep on going. I'm listening.
Mike Enos versus
I know what Nate's doing.
Dean Malenko gets in the ring and starts kicking the shit out of Mike Enos.
Right.
And they're talking about how quick he went into it. And Dean usually doesn't really fire up this much so quick. And the reason is because he's frustrated about losing the Cruiserweight Championship. Dean Malenko ends up beating Mike Enos with a small package. And then Dean Malenko once again cuts a promo about Eddie Guerrero and how if you guys think Eddie Guerrero is this great guy, look into his past.
Right.
Eddie Guerrero is a piece of shit is basically what he's getting at.
Right.
And that's the end of that.
Dominic is Eddie's. Right? Don't let anybody tell you any different.
Just so you know, from 1997 to 2022,
I know
that in 2022 dollars, that airbrushed NWO denim jacket would be $140.
I knew that's what you were looking up.
Fucking hell.
And I guarantee you, a collector of like rare clothing would probably pay upwards of $200 to $300 for that denim jacket
Yes.
right now to put in their collection.
Yes.
If somebody would pay that, it would break my achy breaky heart. But anyway, so Dean is pissed off about, like I said, he's pissed off about Eddie Guerrero, and he's mad because people are saying, basically the storyline of this thing is the commentators are saying that Dean's always been kind of like cold-hearted and an asshole.
Right.
And Dean is trying to like bring up past shit from Eddie.
Right.
Which I think is kind of cool because they're not mentioning it, but they're somewhat hinting towards him being like a heel in Mexico.
Right.
And Dean's not talking about it like on the mic, but it was kind of cool because I don't want to get too much into it, but it was cool because they were having Mike Tenay kind of talk about the shitty things that Eddie did in Mexico. You know,
right.
Does that make
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, him and Art Law, they did this, and they were I don't know the Mexican term, like the
Rudos.
The Rudos down there or whatever. Like, it was kind of like a little cool thing.
Yeah, it was a behind the curtain look at Eddie's past, not just in WCW, but what I always found myself asking myself, because I knew Eddie and Dean had a past in ECW because they had like 4 great matches in ECW before either one was signed to WCW. Did they ever have a match in Mexico or anywhere else before then?
I don't.
Did they have a history? Their history started in ECW for the TV title, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think
maybe in Japan.
I was gonna say Japan, and I think I know they had shit in Japan because I've watched it, and I think they might have also had some shit in Germany. But I don't know a lot. I don't want to say anything if I'm wrong, whatever. But I don't know a lot about. I've never heard a lot about Dean ever going to like Mexico, but I know Dean and Eddie had shit in Germany and Japan.
Mm-hmm. When Eddie was Black Tiger.
Yeah.
According to Google, their first match ever was in ECW. They never had an encounter outside of the States or in any other company.
Well, all right then.
Well, I understand the match thing. I'm talking about them.
No, I like that Dean dug into Eddie's past. I mean, I understood that part.
I thought you meant them being like buddies.
No, I always wondered back then, before we actually had the Google machine and being able to look things up as easy as it was just now, did they have a past where maybe Eddie did something so horrible to Dean that now he's sitting out there going, but you don't understand. Eddie was a heel, man. Eddie blinded me. Eddie took my wife. Eddie, you know.
Mhm.
But it was just Dean saying, I know about Eddie's past from digging into his past.
Yeah.
You know. So.
All right. So you guys got anything else on Mike Enos versus Dean Malenko?
Nope.
Just that you said that Mike Enos had a small package, and we don't know that for sure.
Ask Wayne Bloom, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so.
Or the genius.
The genius. Lanny probably knew, yeah.
Oh man, you brought that up, and it just makes me think about fucking
Gorilla Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon. I don't want that guy backing me up. Why is that? Look at him. Anyway, I know that's not the exact quote, but it's so funny because fucking Monsoon made a gay joke about fucking Lenny Blanco. But anyway, the next thing is actually fun. Eric Bischoff is being interviewed by Mean Gene on the ramp, and Bischoff is talking about being like untouchable. I'm this, that, and the other thing. I'm the man around here. I'm running the NWO and the WCW. Nobody can touch me. And out comes Harvey Schiller. And Bischoff is like, Harvey Schiller, what? And Schiller talks about how he's the president of WCW and talks about all the shitty things that Eric Bischoff has been doing with firing referees and switching titles and doing this, that, and the other thing. And he was letting it go, but it's gotten out of control. And now he's done with it. And Bischoff, you're done. And Bischoff's like, what? You can't fire me. And he's like, yes, I can. He's like, I don't even want you to poop in a fucking WCW bathroom. Like, if I hear you're pissing or pooping in a fucking bathroom, I'm going to kick you out. So Bischoff is done. That's the story of this. And this was really good. And I'm going to dissect it later on. Like, this was actually a really good fucking segment of a show. I don't know if you guys remember watching this one.
Oh, I do. Oh, I do.
But the crowd was into it.
Yep.
And it was fucking good. Gene did a good job. Mean Gene did a good job in it.
Harvey Schiller,
Schiller
never been on television a day in his life,
did
got a better pop. Got a better pop than most of the people on the damn roster. And he also dwarfed Mean Gene and Bischoff by like a foot and a half.
Yeah.
Like
he was
this
a big son of a bitch.
This big Navy fucking, I don't know if he's in the Navy or Marine or whatever, but Schiller had service.
Right.
It's like looking down at Bischoff and just being like, da, 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 you know. And Bischoff, I know some people don't like him for whatever.
He played the heel perfectly.
I actually like Eric Bischoff.
He played it perfectly.
I like him. I like him as a listen to him talk. I think he's like a cool dude, and he played a great fucking character, and he did a good job in this. Like this whole segment was really fucking good.
Agreed.
And I'm gonna kind of poke a hole in it later on. So I like this whole thing. Bischoff ran away. Zbyszko and Shivani were ha in it, happy about it. Bischoff's been emasculated, put out of his position with WCW, and that for a little bit should be the last we see of him. Should be.
For a little bit.
At least for this episode.
Right.
So now we're going to roll into hour number 2, unless you guys have anything to say about that.
Nope.
Did the fireworks go off to tell us it was hour number 2?
Hour number 2.
I always loved when there was a match going on.
Here he goes.
During the fireworks. I always loved when there would be like a big match. It would be like Benoit versus Ming, and then the fireworks would go off in the middle of the ring, and everybody would just look around and go, what the fuck? What are we doing here? Let's finish the match.
So the hour number 2 starts, and it is Ultimo Dragon versus Eddie Guerrero.
Banger.
It's a banger match. Ultimo Eddie, the winner is Eddie Guerrero, and at the end of the match, Ultimo Dragon had his feet on the ropes, but Eddie Guerrero grabbed the foot before the ref could. Basically, Eddie won the match.
He went a little underhanded to get the win, though.
But he went a little underhanded because Ultimo got his foot and Eddie scooped it before the ref could see it. And 1, 2, 3. Mean Gene tries to interview Eddie Guerrero, and Dean Malenko interrupts and is like saying, like, "Hey, look what I told you. Eddie's a piece of shit. He's cheating." And Eddie and Dean kind of like argue off into the distance. But it actually is a pretty good match.
It is.
And Nate's favorite manager, Sonny Ono's out there.
I didn't know you were a Sonny Ono guy, Nate.
Super Sonny Ono fan, Nate is. So you guys got anything on that?
Nope.
All right. This one, I know you guys are going to have a lot to say about. I know for a fact this could be this is going to wind up being like a 40-minute discussion.
If it's not Alex Wright versus Glacier, I'm going to be very upset.
No, it's not that. It's better.
Oh.
It is Michael Wall Street versus Scotty Riggs.
Pass. How much is he getting?
You say 40-minute or 40-second conversation?
Right.
Well, yeah, you guys didn't let me finish. It's this Michael Wall Street Scotty Riggs match, and guess who gets involved?
Big Bubba?
Buff Bagwell.
Oh, Bagwell,
yeah. He attacks Scotty Riggs.
Put them all in one segment. Get it out of the way.
Right.
And then it's a DQ. Buff Bagwell attacks Scotty Riggs because this fucking feud's still going on.
How Scotty Riggs never just went off and beat the hell out of Buff is beyond me. You know, he kept his composure in this feud.
This is just trash.
It really is. Well, it's been 39 minutes. Should we go another minute and a half?
Yeah.
Well, this show is just dropping off, guys. I'm telling you, this Nitro just falls off. Lee Marshall is now on with his road report.
Of course.
And he's talking about how next week we're not only getting Raw's War next week, we're getting Nitro at Club La Vila. So that's happening.
Oh.
Yes.
Spring Breakout.
We're getting Spring Breakout. We're getting the first Spring Breakout. And Lee Marshall says that Club La Vila says that if Bobby... He basically says if Bobby Heenan shows up in a thong, they're going to shut it down. He doesn't even...
And Bobby's like, what did I do?
Like, he doesn't make a weasel joke. He's just like, if Bobby shows up in a thong, they're going to shut it down. It's the first time that Lee Marshall legitimately made me laugh.
Right.
Like, we'll just shut the entire club down. We're done. No more business. Done.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but it's funny. And it's the last good thing that happens.
Oh,
Because guess what we're going into next?
Glacier versus Alex Wright?
No.
Damn it.
If you guys know, we're going into WCW Uncensored. Okay, which is never a good thing to say. We're going into WCW Uncensored. Never a good thing. But we're going into WCW Uncensored with, at this point, Team WCW, Team NWO, and Team Piper.
Right. We don't know who's on T Piper just yet.
And we never really do, because who knows
but
who
at
they
least
are.
we get we get a look at them, but then it all changes.
Yes. because WCW realized we can't put this on pay-per-view.
Nobody wants to see John Tenta shaved, a guy who looked like Rick Fuller but was not Rick Fuller, and another guy in kilts with Roddy Piper.
I love your apt description of the third guy and another guy.
Well, I think he was like Roddy Piper's hand. He would come with him to carry his bags and things like that because he showed up like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, he was Roddy Piper's metal maniac. Yeah.
So this crowd in the Omni that is wanting to I watched this, okay, and I made notes. So Roddy Piper comes out to either accept or not accept the uncensored invite.
Right.
It just becomes the worst thing ever. The first guy, he comes out, like basically Piper is auditioning people
Right.
to be on his team. Okay. So first guy, as he comes out, kid yells, "Who the hell are you?"
Right.
There's a child in the crowd.
Right.
Like he has a child voice.
Loud enough to be heard.
Who the hell are you?
Right.
Piper taps him. Piper taps him out. The next guy. Do you know who the next guy was, Nate? Honestly, do you know who the next guy was?
No.
The guy who looks like Rick Fuller.
It was Luther Reigns.
Is that Luther Reigns with a perm?
No, perm guy ain't up yet. This is
okay.
Reigns. This is when Luther Reigns, right before he came in there as Horseshoe. Because remember, we used to talk about how you saw Luther Reigns in the crowd in fucking 98 Starrcade? Yep. Luther Reigns is out here. He doesn't have a name yet, but he's got a fucking pair of Daisy Dukes. So we get Luther Reigns in Daisy Dukes, and he gets choked out. The next guy is, I have no idea who this guy is. He's perm fucker. I don't know.
He looked like Rick Fuller, but it wasn't. And it was like, why do you have another Rick Fuller on hand?
And he's wearing tiny red shorts.
Yep.
And he gets punched and he's knocked out. Because Tiny Shorts gets knocked out. And then some ugly fucker comes out and he knows Kung Fu. So now Roddy Piper and ugly fucker are doing Kung Fu and Piper knocks him out. And then all of a sudden John Tenta shows up.
Right.
For no reason. Here's John Tenta. I wasn't sure if it was Archie or John Tenta. It was John
Thank
Tenta.
you. Very funny.
You're welcome, buddy.
Very funny.
If Chad was here, he would have made that joke. So, memory.
Hey, don't keep stroking the fire between me and Chad. I'll take his ass out in trivia.
So then Tenta comes out, and they kind of roll around. They do whatever, and Piper decides that I put check marks by people that he picked. He picked Tiny Shorts, Ugly Fucker, and John Tenta.
Right.
And that's his team. And this is honestly the worst goddamn televised wrestling segment I've ever seen in my entire life.
I believe the crowd checked out after about 10 minutes because this went for about 30.
They checked out when that kid said, "Who the hell are you?" Like, I'm not joking.
Like, adults were like, yeah, that kid's right. Who the hell are you?
I've watched things like I'm not a huge wrestling fan, like current wrestling fan now, but rewatching this is the worst goddamn thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was bad.
It took an entire crowd that was into everything they were seeing. They were even into Michael Wall Street versus Scotty Riggs,
Right.
with Buff Bagwell getting involved, and they reacted to it. And this thing was just like, what the fuck is this?
I don't know which is which, but other than Tenta and Horseshoe in this segment, the other two guys were Leighton Morrison, a kickboxer, and Craig Malley, a boxer. I don't know who was Perm guy, but
Craig Malley would have been
ugly red shorts, curly perm head guy.
Well, yeah, whatever. I hope they're both dead.
The reason I know is because the guy that you said Nate knows kickboxing or karate is the guy that used to be with Roddy Piper wherever he went. He was in like 5 other segments with Piper throughout his WCW tenure.
Like, this thing made me mad.
It gets worse though. Wait till you get the Club La Vila next week.
Oh, I know, and I got some funny shit about that.
Oh yeah,
because this is why sometimes I get lost in my notes, because like
you have other stuff waiting, right?
I just start watching and I'm like writing shit down. I'm like, oh man, I got to remember what I wrote down 3 weeks ago. But I remember this like it fucking happened yesterday. This is like a rape.
Thank God it didn't happen yesterday.
This is like when people can recount a rape. I know exactly what happened when it happened. This is a fucking rape.
Oh God.
I know what time it was.
What I don't understand is, and I get it, Piper probably had it scripted that he in his contract that he had creative control. But when he ran this by them, he was going to be taking 30 minutes to pick a team and pick 3 of like the worst people he could have picked. Sorry, John Tenta, but it was pretty bad picked. He was like, "Yeah, Rowdy, go for it." You know what I mean? It's gold, Rowdy, gold.
And there's the problem with creative control, everybody.
Yes.
Can't imagine Hogan was on board. Yeah, like, Roddy, I love it. Yes, do this, brother.
So then after this happened, guess who had to follow this?
Who?
Rey Mysterio and Mr. JL.
Poor Mr. JL.
Like, these guys had to go out, and I'm not saying this. Usually, if you're like, oh, Jerry Lynn's gonna wrestle Rey Mysterio,
you're all for it.
Fantastic.
Right.
If I'm 2 talented fucking wrestlers, and then I'm like, we gotta go out to this crowd now.
They want to go home.
Mad. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like sometimes I think it's worse following something bad than going ahead of something bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because the steam's out of the sails, or the wind's out of the sails.
It's like this crowd is pissed now. So no matter what we do, we can go out there and bust our asses now, and they're just going to be like, we're done.
The only thing that might have popped this crowd is if Hogan would have came out and said, I'll put the title on the line against anybody. Sting would have came down from the Raptors, DDT'd Hogan, and won the belt. I think that is the only thing that would have popped this crowd after that.
But no.
And even then, they still might have been like, it's a little too late.
But no, Ray and Jerry Lynn have to go out after this.
Right.
It's actually a really good match. Surprise, surprise. And Ray ends up winning with a West Coast pop. There's not really a lot to say about the match unless you guys.
I don't think JL ever won a match in WCW.
I don't think so either. I think he beat Sabu.
Maybe, yeah.
The Sabu hit him with
got himself disqualified.
Then Medusa, she cuts a shitty promo. I like Medusa, okay? As a worker and as a like when I hear her talk and like shoot interviews and shit as a person and everything. But babyface Medusa, one of the worst fucking promos.
Oh yeah.
Terrible. Just terrible. And she's cutting a promo about how she should be the WCW Women's Champion. And they're trying to bring up this fucking WCW Women's Championship. that we haven't heard about since like 96.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's talking about, I'm the women's champion. I'm the number one contender. It's like, I forgot this fucking thing even existed.
Right.
You threw it in that fucking Dixie cup or whatever you did in like 95. But she should be the women's champion. She brings up Luna Vachon out of nowhere. Like, and
Right.
Luna Vachon's back there, and then all of a sudden Luna Vachon shows up and attacks her. It's like, what the fuck? This is out of the blue.
And Luna all of a sudden had boobs. I don't know what happened there.
It happens.
It happened.
Too much
But-
pizza and no cardio. I got
boobs happen.
boobs happen.
Boobs happened. I like that. That's the name of the show. You know what that was? Boobs happen. No, but I mean, like, no, she called out Luna Vachon, and Luna was not the women's champion. Akira Hokuto was the champion.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on here. It's just all of a sudden the woman's belt's back, and then that happens, and that's the end of that segment.
Much like boobs.
Yeah, it happens.
I love it. It happens.
It's all up in your face.
Nate, you know what he's reminded me of? Forrest Gump, when he steps when those mud hits him in the face and he steps in shit. The guy's like, dude, you just stepped in a pile of shit. He's like,
It
yeah,
happens.
It happens.
So after that, the NWO shows up, and they're coming out, and Sting is behind them because remember, previously Sting was with Randy Savage.
So he joined the NWO.
And Sting isn't like happy-go-lucky. He's just trailing. Like, if the NWO is 4 steps ahead, Sting is like 4 behind them.
Right.
But it's given the implications or whatever that Sting's with the NWO. And this is where I said that I was talking about where the Schiller Bischoff shit was cool. I think this is where Bischoff fucked up because he still comes out with the NWO.
Right.
Like Bischoff, I'm not saying like, 2 months or whatever. Bischoff, for at least 2 weeks, should have taken himself off of TV.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And it should have been like Bischoff trying to figure out off camera, how can I get back on? And it should have been like some intriguing thing with Shivani being like, oh, the NWO's out here now without Bischoff. And not even saying Bischoff isn't controlling it, but like have DiBiase be the mouthpiece for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And like have him on like, oh, he's on a cellular phone in a limo listening to Bischoff because Bischoff's like, I can't even get in the fucking building. You know, I've been fucking jerking the strings for all this time, and now they won't even like. You could even, how do I say it? Like, even if you want to still like, if Bischoff even still wants to have himself on camera, like have him try to go to like CNN and scan his card and he can't get in.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, oh shit! Like now I can't even get into the ground level of it, and then have him be on the fucking phone with DiBiase or whoever. Like,
right.
I thought that was what kind of killed it by just fucking 7 segments ago. You're not even allowed to take a piss in the fucking executive bathroom, but you can still come out in front of everyone.
Right. He should have not been. Like I agree with what you're saying. What should have when he finally came back? He should have took a couple weeks off and then came back and went. Harvey Schiller said I couldn't be here because I'm not a part of WCW anymore, but he never said I couldn't be here with the NWO.
Yeah.
But make it look like it took him 2 weeks to realize that was even a thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, and you could even do it as saying like I couldn't be part of WCW, and now I can't get in the executive offices, but Hogan is in the NWO, but Hogan still has a Turner contract.
Right.
So I'm not with WCW, I'm running an NWO, and Hogan is you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of things they could have done where Bischoff should have been gone for a while, and they didn't do it. That's where I was like, it kind of shot that whole Schiller thing in the foot.
Right.
But anyway, these guys all come out, and Hogan and Savage, they're doing their like old white dude jokes about Piper, like no hip, whatever, like making fun of his hip and shit like that. And they ramble on and on and on. Kevin Nash says something. I don't even remember what Kevin Nash said, but it's like 5 seconds of Kevin Nash, and then Hogan must pose, and the NWO leave, and then the main event is the Steiner Brothers versus Lex Luger and the Giant. The NWO come out. They surround the ring. Sting comes down the ramp, but he doesn't really do anything. And then Piper's Hobos come out, and they jump in the ring. And then all of a sudden, it is Team WCW, the NWO, and Piper's Hobos all brawling, and it just ends with all of that. I don't know a better name for Piper.
It worked perfect.
I just pictured hobos, but stylized like Icon on his shirts.
Right. I was thinking of like Hogan's Heroes, but I was like Piper's Hobos.
Begging for a payday.
Like, this Nitro started out really good. And honestly, it started out really, really fucking good. And it just, that Piper thing just killed it. And I've said it last week and I said it this week. ECW, there's nothing to talk about because they just recapped the last
CyberSlam
of CyberSlam.
Right.
So
I think we got about another week and a half of that.
That is the end of the week that was for March 3rd and March 3rd, 1997, and ECW would have been March 4th, 1997, and then we're going to go into next week, which is March the 10th, 1997 through whatever, and we're going to go to Club La Vila Nitro, which is fun, and spoiler alert, we're going to go into Raw is War, and I'm super fucking excited. It's about to fucking pop off. I'm serious, guys. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to be like, oh, silly. Like, I'm fucking jacked, because this is when fucking wrestling gets really goddamn good. Like, this fucking Raw that we're going into, my fucking brother, who's sitting right there, he was at fucking Music Land working, selling goddamn Montel Jordan fucking singles. And I'm sitting at home because I don't
probably record-setting sales for "Candle in the Wind" by Elton John.
Yeah, because that fucking Diana, she just died in that tunnel.
Dodie and Di died.
Yeah. Fucking Nate comes home after I'm fucking watching this shit, and he comes home. He's like, "What's going on, man?" I'm like, "You're never gonna fucking believe it." Shit was fantastic.
And Nate's like, "Don't spoil it." You're like, "Fuck it, I'm spoiling it."
It's fucking great. I'm super, like I said, I don't want to spoil nothing, but I am super looking forward, like, to going into this. This is my show, but I haven't really been excited about it
until we got to this point.
Up until this fucking point. The point that we're going into right now is why I picked 1997. It's fucking gangbusters going on, guys. After this, it's going to be fucking great. We're going to have a lot of good shit to talk about, and we're going to be able to dissect these fucking great shows going forward. Raw's going to do its best shit. Nitro's going to do its best shit. ECW's going to do its best shit.
to Raw Horses.
Yeah, I got a thorn in my eye, man. It's gonna be fucking good ass shit going forward, and I'm looking forward to it.
If Raw sucked in the first hour of Nitro sucked, and you heard that song, you knew the next hour of Raw's War was going to be really good.
It's goddamn right. So, thank you guys, you two, obviously, for listening to me ramble about these shows. Thank you for contributing today, and thank you guys for out there in the inner space for listening to it and going forward. Like I said, guys, it's going to be super exciting. And thank you for listening to the year that was ... 1997.
Boobs happen, everybody.